Hey friends, welcome to this week's art lesson for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. I've had a lot of students ask me about doing some kind of glow lesson where we learn how to make things appear to glow when we're drawing. So that is what we're going to do today. Now, the most important thing to remember when we're doing this type of lesson is that big vocabulary word we've been working on all year, value. Remember, value is when something goes from dark to light. We've been practicing using our tools to press really hard in some areas and really soft in other areas to go from dark to light. That's going to be very important for this lesson. Now, if you have colored paper, that would be great. If you don't worry about it. It's all right. You can use whatever paper you have or seesaw, just like usual. I'm going to be using some colored paper, but you can do the same thing on white paper, and I'll show you a few examples of how that works. First, let's look at some examples of artwork that kind of show what I'm talking about. This is a digital example, but it still has the same idea, and we can do the same thing with our regular art tools. Notice how this artist is taking this gray sketch, and now he is adding a light color, and it's just to one side of each of the shapes. We'll talk a little bit more about how to do this, but what I want you to notice is how just adding that little bit of color is making this picture start to look a lot more glowy. So it was already a really cool picture, but just going on one side of all the shapes and adding that light color is already creating a glow effect. Now, of course, you see there's a little bit of value happening, right? On one side, it's extra light, and it gets a little darker and darker, but you can still see how that glow is starting to appear. We've practiced this with value. Now we're going to practice it to make it even more interesting. This is a quick video of a friend of mine from college drawing a light glow effect on the character Finn's face. I really like how he went in and created the color of that lightsaber on the face while he was drawing with his colored pencil. Pretty cool, huh? Quick note. I will be using colored paper for my example to save time today, but if you don't have colored paper, that's okay. What you can do is just take regular paper and color it, right? Or when you're drawing with me, just make sure that the only part of your page that you leave white is the part that's glowing. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. But if you have a white paper and you just put white on it, you won't really be able to see the glow very well. So you can either take a pencil and smudge your paper so it's kind of colored in, or use your watercolors to color the paper before we start. For today's activity, you can use whatever type of colored paper you would like. I'm going to use black just because I think it'll really show what I'm trying to teach you guys, but it's your choice, all right? As long as you can see your writing tool on it, that's what matters. Now, if you want to start with a pencil, you can start with a pencil. I don't know that you guys will be able to see very well what I'm doing if I'm using a pencil, so I'm probably going to use a pastel to start. We're going to start with a warm-up. Now, if you practice on one side and you don't like it, take a breath practice a little bit more, and then flip it over when you know what you want to do for sure. That way we're not wasting too much paper. We're going to start by drawing some 3D shapes. Now you may already know how to do this, but just practice with me. I'm going to start with a cube. So of course, the sides of the cube are made of squares, right? So here's our square. Now I'm going to draw some lines back from these 3 sides and close it. Now, I know you may know how to make a transparent cube where you can see inside by drawing extra lines. We're not going to do that yet for this project because it's important that our drawings are opaque, and that means you can't see through them. I'll explain what that means in a minute. I'm just going to draw a regular circle here. This is going to be my light source. Don't worry about making that 3D just yet. We can make a little pyramid by starting with a triangle and doing another line down. All right. We can create maybe a rectangle. Go ahead and start with, or a rectangle. Draw some more lines. We'll leave that one there. Remember, if you need to pause at any point while I'm doing this, pause it and watch me draw these shapes as many times as you need. Okay, now that we've practiced with these shapes, we're ready to create our light source. Now, remember, when we're creating value, we're going from the lightest light to the darkest dark. So, my middle circle here, I'm going to go in with my lightest color I have. If you don't have white, maybe use yellow. I'm going to press extra hard in the middle. And then, the further out I get, I'm going to press a little bit softer and a little bit softer until it starts getting a little bit, the further out I get, it gets softer. All right. Now I'm going to pick a color for my light source. I think I'm going to do a green. So on the outside edges where my light starts getting a little softer, I'm going to do a very pale green. Notice I'm not pressing very hard this time, and I'm going to keep going further out. Now, you may want to press a little hard once it's on the outside edges of the white, but even so, don't press too hard. So, I have my light source. It goes from light to dark, right? Now, I want to start creating some lighting effects on the shapes I drew. Now, in order to do that, I think I'm going to start by coloring my shapes, just random colors. So, you can use whatever color you want. Remember, you probably drew this with pencil, so it won't look quite the same as mine. That's fine. I'm just going to go in and color my shapes. The only thing I'll say about this is as you're coloring your shapes, you probably want to stay in darker colors because the darker they are, the cooler they will look when they glow. All right, so once you've colored all of your shapes, we're going to start adding some light effects. All right, so I'm going to go in with my white or whatever light color I have. And on the side where the light source is, I'm going to press extra hard on my shapes. And then I'll press softer and softer and softer the further away I get. I'm going to do that for all of them. So if one side of your shape is pointing toward the light, make it a lot lighter than the rest. If one side is pointing toward your light, make it a lot lighter than the rest. If you want to create some value as the shape gets further away from the light, you can. I'm doing that on this one. All right, so now that I've done, I've created some highlights. I'm going to go in and add a little bit of the color that my light is. So whatever color you did around your light, I'm going to add a little bit of that. So wherever my white starts fading into the other color, I'm just going to very lightly go in with my light color and add just a little bit of it. Okay, now here's where the magic happens. I'm going to go ahead and create my shadows. So on the sides where the light isn't, I'm going to go in with my darkest color, press extra hard, and then press softer and softer and softer. Make sure you're not completely covering up your color. You guys see how that's starting to really look 3D? So this is how you make things have a light effect. Make sure that the side that's pointing to the light is extra light. And the sides that are not pointed to the light have some nice dark shadows. So, pretty cool, huh? So, whatever you do today, remember, in order to create a glow effect, you need two objects, right? You need one object that's glowing, and the lightest light is going to be the middle, and then it gets darker and darker and darker the further out it gets. And then you need objects that the light's reflecting on. So that could be anything. It could be a person's face. It could be, I don't know, it's up to you. But whatever else is in the picture, the part that's closest to the light is going to be light, and the part that's facing away from the light is going to be dark. Here's your objectives. Number 1, I can practice drawing at least 3 3D shapes. Number 2, I can create value by using my tools to create areas that go from dark to light. En español, número 1. Yo puedo practicar el dibujo de al menos 3 formas 3D. Número 2. Yo puedo crear valor usando mis herramientas para crear áreas que van de la
oscuridad, a la luz.